Hiya, hiya. It's a tough day for me. I had to close my religious store in Kabul. Hey, I'm having a clearance. Can you imagine? Hey, you know the war that I want to see us win is the one with COVID. That's the war. Do you think all those people trying to get on the airplane to get out of that space in Afghanistan? I don't know if you've seen the footage of it, but thousands of people trying to get on that 747 big jet. They're holding onto the wings of the plane. They want to get out of there. I wonder if they have to have a vaccine to get on there. See, we are so twisted with all of our directions. I think autopilots, for instance, there's a lot of accidents. So now the Safety Administration is going to examine them. They had auto trucks on 60 Minutes yesterday where they were driven by nobody. And nobody's sitting there monitoring it because the truck doesn't get drunk and it doesn't have to stop except to refuel. So they're going to save a lot of money, make a lot of money, and that's advantage of it. It's partially owned by China too. I noticed they slipped that in. Nothing worse than a Peterbilt made in China. I know there's a sexual joke here. I'm staying out of it. I very rarely avoid bad jokes. I'm doing so many of them because I think people ought to really lighten up. We got to laugh at things. Otherwise, you're going to want to kill somebody, like yourself. I don't believe in suicide, although I get on the air and do this every day. And somebody even quizzed one of my viewers on YouTube, which is not owned by the government, not monitored by the government, not under the FCC. The whole electronic business is under the FCC in a way. But, they're trying to get in there and control it. I think the only control that anybody ought to have in this generation is in the White House. I think that ought to be on autopilot. And then you won't have any problems with anybody voting or risking unpopular moves. I was talking to my friend Bill Hennish yesterday, programming consultant, about how we would do the voting on the phone. He said, "You always want us to vote on the phone." I said, "Yeah, because it closes all the foolishness of the polling places, the Board of Governors, Board of Elections." I said, "Just directly vote each person on the phone. Everybody has a phone." He said, "Well, how will you do it?" I said, "Well, you got your face on like we had a fingerprint. Do you have that banking thing on your phone where it asks you for an ID and you have your picture on there, and to give it you have to turn your head like a hologram, and it's only you. Nobody can fake that. They can't fake this face, not that anybody would want it. But Facebook is not about faces. However, I would like you to know that we can take this face print, put it on the television, on the screen, on the radio. Yeah, on radio. Why? Because radio is on TV now, that's why. And put it on the phone. Everything's on the phone. And the reason everything is on the phone is not what you think, because things are not usually what they think. What it is that the phone has figured out a long time ago that if you don't pay, they don't give you service. So that's called a subscription rate. And that's where everybody's going. Even CBS owns Paramount, they're going in that direction. Why would they have an Emmy Award, incidentally? Side note here. Why would you have award shows? We haven't done anything in a year and a half substantially, but we keep the ball going. Could have had the Olympics in Afghanistan, and nobody would have been any wiser than that. It's ridiculous for what we're doing to try to get everybody in a crowd. In Central Park, they've got all these major stars are going to be doing this concert next week, I'm told. They want to bring back New York, the mayor's concert. And the brain of a LeSueur pea and it's frozen. Who would want to have a crowd in Central Park? Are you kidding? First of all, I don't go there alone because I don't want to get hugged, bugged, and mugged. But the second thing is I don't want thousands of people around me breathing without masks. I hope they all wear masks. But the entertainers wearing masks will give a nice sound to the electronics. Some of these entertainers really should sing through a mask because they've lost their talent. Now, next week, who's going to be there? Is that Billy Joel? I don't know, but I think Paul Simon, and they dropped another name, Bruce Springsteen. So they're going to have a lot of people on the lawn at Central Park. Is that a good idea right now? To have a crowd like this when we have all these people in Florida that didn't learn the lesson from our spring break? We didn't learn it. People dying. They're dying to get the hell out of Kabul, too. We're back on that again. But you know what? I'm telling you that we are the cops of the world, and we have to quit that job. Never mind the Taliban and the ISIS and all these people. You know what you got to do? You know what you do with spoiled children? You know how you win? You ignore them. Simple principle. If kids are acting out, you go to your room. You're not going to play any video games. You ignore them, and you cut off all of the things that are their pleasure. Not oil. Oil is not their pleasure. It's our pleasure. You cut off all of the things that they like, and maybe a select satellite, select service, so that it serves only this hemisphere. They want to be where we are, but they still want to wear those costumes. That Taliban it looks like New Orleans at Mardi Gras time. I had a television show in Denver on KOA radio and television simulcast, first one in the country, 1980. I think it was 85, 84. On that show, I had Yasser Arafat. He was not. They didn't. He was. I don't think he was the president of the PLO yet, but it was the middle of the night, all night long. I mean, even Roseanne Barr used to watch me in Utica, and she came in and did the show a couple of times. Did I say Utica? She used to watch me in Utah. That's what I meant. So we had Yasser was there. I would take the couch, which was a sofa bed, and I would open it at 3 o'clock in the morning because I was on all night on television, right? Matter of fact, I used to send a camera crew out to people who were watching me and photograph them if they were still awake and put them on my show from the remote, and we would watch them. You talk about having fun. Catch people in the middle of the night doing something with your camera, and now you got a newscast. Now that was reality television, believe me. But a lot of people are sleeping in the middle of the night, so you don't go in with the cameras. As a matter of fact, I just brought this up. I had a 10-wheeler Peterbilt truck. We had a huge studio at Channel 4 KOA at the time, and what happened was we'd open the garage, these huge doors. I mean, they were large enough to build sets, and we built. I had a Peterbilt truck come in, and a woman driver, and she was rough. She was this is like Dykes on Bikes. I'm telling you. She got behind the wheel of that thing, went like a guy, or like the stereotype guy. Now I have to be careful because women now are playing baseball on the college level. See, we're so busy promoting women and the national advancement of colored folks or ethnic folks, whatever organization's going around. We're distracted from all the things that we need to work on, which is like getting along with each other. It would be nice, shaking a hand, being polite, not double teaming on a television screen. Now let me go back to my story. Speaking of that, where was I going with that? I was going about Denver and KOA, and I had Yasser Arafat, who came dressed with swaddling clothes, and I opened up the sofa bed, which I did in the middle of the night on that show, if you watched it, and I put on my jammies while the news was on, and I'd come out and I would finish the show in my pajamas till 5 o'clock in the morning, and Tom Snyder. But I'll tell you something. Rona Barrett was on Tom Snyder. Let me give another sidebar here. She created this whole entertainment industry of gossip, just to throw it in. Now, back to Yasser Arafat. I tell 3 stories at once. I'm like my mother. Except I finished the story. My mother never finished. We called her Jimmy Hoffa because she was always missing something. She was just missing. So here we have Yasser Arafat as a guest. I'm opening the sofa bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he sits on the bed, and I said, "I see you're already dressed in your pajamas." He had the swaddling clothes on and the turban, and I said, "You're lucky they don't pronounce you turban dead." Well, that was it. The next day, what was it? General Electric owned NBC. They were all in a tizzy that I had fun with Yasser Arafat. How could you have fun with a world figure who was an enemy? At that time, we didn't use the word terrorist, but we had a guy who doesn't like Americans, and he's fighting us in Israel, and essentially radio and television are a Jewish medium too, as you probably well know that. Lawyers, Jewish lawyers, they can really do a job on you as a culture, and there's nothing wrong with anything I'm saying. This is just actually my idea of what's happening in the world. And I have a different kind of a view of what's going on in the world. Stop the world, I want to get off. I would start singing that Walt Disney song right now. Ibbity bobbity, ibbity kabula, baba kabula, ibbity bobbity boo. I was the one that did that drug song with Mary Poppers. Super careless, unrealistic, and you die from overdoses. Nancy Reagan loved that. All right, so we're here on the Joey Reynolds rap. How much trouble did I get into? They're interviewing people now to ask what you think of my performance on the internet, on YouTube. They want to find out. See, everybody's trying to find something wrong. You know, the thing that's wrong with most people is they get up in the morning. That's what's wrong. We're human beings. Put God back in the picture, and maybe you'll have a different world. I think God has a franchise on these planets. I'm not sure. I think Elon Musk and Branson, they probably got, maybe God flipped them the keys to the universe. If you don't like things here, complain to the management. It's a Reynolds rap.